Good afternoon. Thanks for watching this shortened edition of This Is Now. Just into our newsroom, reports of the highest single day case count since the pandemic began.
The state health department is reporting 655 new COVID infections today. The breakdown by island shows 131 cases on the Big Island, 69 on Maui, 7 on Kauai, 428 on Oahu, and the rest out of state. For more on this surge, here's Lieutenant Governor Josh Green.
958,000 people in our state have chosen to be vaccinated. 211,000 kids can't get vaccinated yet. That leaves exactly 250,000 people who have chosen not to be vaccinated when they could. That's where the virus is spreading. As it spreads, it will result in hospitalizations, and the numbers are going up in our hospitals. We're at 166. So it affects us all because then we can't do elective procedures. We can't have extra beds for people who have had heart attacks. We can't treat all sorts of ailments. It's a really serious matter. I prefer to just tell people the way it is, which is you got 250,000 people and you're out of your heads if you don't get vaccinated. It's a big mistake because I know we have different ideologies about that, but do not listen to people that make stuff up about what the vaccine is going to do to you.
So with the high case count a turning point, after first rewarding people with prizes for getting the shot, the state will now impose consequences on government workers who don't get them. It's all part of a sweeping new mandate that we expect to be announced today at 1 in a press conference. We've learned that the state and county employees who refuse to be vaccinated will have to pay for regular COVID testing. Ben Gutierrez explains what we know so far.
The vaccine mandate would affect tens of thousands of government workers. There are exceptions, of course, but we're told the rules will follow what major healthcare networks are doing, and more private industries may soon follow suit.
We need to explore all options, and mandates is one way to ensure that we can increase the vaccination rate.
The Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii says more businesses are looking at requiring that their employees get the COVID shots. Governor Ige is expected to require all state and county workers to get vaccinated or pay for weekly testing themselves. It's already being required for some, including public school student athletes. Kaimuki High School's head football coach says that's a start.
If the vaccination is going to be required for athletics, it should be required for all, not for fairness, but for safety.
So now we understand the aggressivity of the infectious level of this. And so to the extent that good people, healthy people that have been vaccinated could actually be carrying the disease and transmitting it to children especially is of great concern.
City Council member Augie Tolba, who has been vaccinated, is against a mandate.
We all have rights. I believe it's personal choice, and I don't think anything should be mandatory. Simple as that.
Attorney General Claire Connors already says Ige is within his right to require the shot. Some major companies, like Microsoft and Tyson Foods, are already requiring proof. Many others are waiting for the vaccine to get full FDA approval, which could happen next month.
We're hiring, more employees. We want to be sure that they're vaccinated.
Hawaii's restaurant industry says even without a mandate, a vaccinated applicant is going to look better to an employer.
There's 2 candidates. And they're exactly the same. Both are dishwashers. They both have the same, amount of years of experience. The restaurateur is going to choose the vaccinated employee.
So today we wanted to get a vibe of how those frontline healthcare workers are dealing with this recent surge in cases. We talked to the president of the Hawaii Nurses Association, Daniel Ross. Here's some of that interview.
Let's start off with the numbers. We've been seeing triple-digit numbers for more than a week now. How concerned are you about hearing those numbers and also hearing about the Delta variant?
I'm very concerned, and mostly because those numbers translate to patients in the hospital. So recently the hospitals have had a surge of inpatients on COVID, and we're operating at pretty close to capacity as far as staffing. We're in crisis staffing right now at Queens and somewhat at Straub too. There are just not enough nurses on the job, and so it's very concerning.
This has got to be emotionally draining for you as a nurse, right?
For all nurses, particularly those that are working day in and day out in the COVID units, because we're short in all of the units, don't get me wrong. It's just even more so in those particular units. It's particularly stressful for them. And I have nurses talk to me all the time, call me all the time about feelings of burnout and moral fatigue, just that they can't take anymore. People are talking that they want to leave the profession. They want to look for other easier nursing jobs that aren't quite so taxing on you. And I think the only reason people are staying is because they feel they owe it to their coworkers. They owe it to the patients too, but more so it's the bond with the camaraderie with their coworkers. They feel if they leave, they know that'll just make things worse for their friends at work.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says the U.S. could see 200,000 new COVID cases a day by the fall. To put that into perspective, that number was just 10,000 a day a few weeks ago. Skylar Henry has more.
Health officials say they are concerned about how quickly the Delta variant is spreading.
There were some early preliminary studies that suggest that Delta may potentially cause severe disease. We continue to monitor this not just in adults, but also in children.
That has prompted some state governors to reinstitute protective policies.
Effective immediately, all P-12 schools and daycares in Illinois must follow the CDC guidance of universal masking inside, regardless of vaccine status.
But Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has banned any such mask mandate from schools in his state.
If you're coming after the rights of parents in Florida, I'm standing in your way. I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Even though it just set a new record for COVID hospitalizations during the pandemic.
Over the past 7 days, Florida and Texas have accounted for about 1/3 of new cases and more than 1/3 of new hospitalizations nationwide.
The federal government is only issuing guidelines for most, leaving policies up to the states. But the Biden administration is taking steps to mandate COVID vaccines where it can. CBS News has confirmed Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin plans to seek authorization for mandatory COVID vaccinations for all active duty troops.
The Delta variant has certainly affected us here in the military, as it has affected the rest of the country. And when we have more to say about the status of the vaccines, we'll certainly do that.
And the Biden administration is working on a plan to require almost all foreign visitors to be fully vaccinated prior to entering the U.S. The rules will be phased in and will apply to visitors coming from all countries. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
New today, Congressman Kai Kahele says even if Hawaii's eviction moratorium ends tomorrow, landlords cannot evict tenants. He says that's because Hawaii falls under the CDC's new order. It says evictions are on hold in areas of high or substantial transmission of COVID. The CDC order runs through October 3rd. We've asked Governor Ige for clarification, but have not heard back yet.
Aloha on this Thursday. We are still cyclone free here at home in the Central Pacific. However, in the East Pacific, we have a new tropical storm. This is Jimena, about 1,200 miles from the Big Island. It's not going to bring us any severe weather. And Hilda, now not a tropical storm, now a tropical depression. Both systems expected to move into cooler water and weaken pretty quickly. So they will not bring us any severe weather. However, there's a chance that it cuts off the trade winds next week, and there's a chance that it brings us a few more windward and Mauka showers. Other than that, we're going to have a nice stretch of trade wind weather. That means some morning windward and Mauka showers, overnight hours too. Rainfall totals will be skimpy. Trade winds slowly easing up as we head into the weekend. And if those systems move close to the islands, they could cut off the trade winds. Winds are expected to be light on Tuesday and Wednesday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Carissa Moore's gold medal victory continues to be recognized. This happened at the governor's office just a short time ago.
As governor of the state of Hawaii, it is my honor to proclaim August 5th, 2021 as Carissa Moore Day in honor of our homegrown Olympic champion.
My home is Hawaii. My heart is Hawaii. And one of my biggest inspirations is Duke Kahanamoku. And I had the privilege of watching a beautiful documentary of him and his life before I left for the games. And just learning about how he was an Olympic champion, but more so a champion human and a true ambassador of aloha. And how he loved unconditionally, how he shared our sport of surfing with the world. And how he treated people with kindness and took the time. I hope we all can live his way. And to be able to compete in surfing's debut in the Olympics, to be a native Hawaiian, to be a part of his story, and to bring the gold medal back home to the birthplace of surfing. It is so, I feel so honored.
And you can hear so much more from Moore on our Olympic shortcast. It's already posted to our H&N digital platforms. A reminder, everyone, that Governor Ige press conference coming up at 1 p.m. We will be streaming it on all our digital platforms and on KGMB and K5. We'll see you then.